The previous exercises were designed to immerse you into the three core technologies of web design: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are, of course, just brief introductions into working with those languages, so there's still a lot left to learn, not only in terms of the languages themselves, but also in terms of the best practices used when implementing them. For example, all the CSS and JavaScript we added were added within the HTML itself. While easier from an authoring standpoint, this really isn't the best way to implement styles in scripting. Usually, you want to move your CSS and JavaScript to separate CSS and JavaScript files, and then reference them within the HTML document. This allows you to control multiple pages with a single file and makes your site easier to maintain. This, of course, is just one of the many concepts that you'll need to learn and master in order to become a web designer. Web design is much like any other discipline. Becoming proficient in it requires a tremendous amount of time and effort. It's also constantly changing and evolving, so being a professional web designer means that you'll always be learning, no matter how much experience you have. That's why I understand it when people are intimidated by learning web design, especially when it comes to learning to code. So if you feel that way, it's okay. That's actually natural. I just want to reassure you that it's really not that hard, and although it does require focus and effort, if you dedicate yourself to learning it, you're going to be surprised by how quickly you'll pick up the basics. Learning to code is, however, an important part of becoming a web designer. A little later on, I'm going to explore a few different ways you can get online quickly as a designer, even if you have little to no coding skills when you start out. But don't look at these approaches as a way of avoiding learning to code. Without coding skills, you're going to eventually hit a wall in terms of what you can produce. So even if you're a little bit hesitant about it, commit yourself to learning at least the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. My guess is that once you get comfortable with the basics, your anxiety will be gone, and you'll actually begin to enjoy writing code. Knowing where to start can be a little tough though, and it's one of the main reasons that I've created this course. This course isn't designed to teach you any one specific language or technique. Rather, I've designed it to introduce you to the fundamental concepts of web design. I wanted to give you some guidance in terms of how to approach learning it, explore many of the tools that you're going to use, and give you an overview of the entire field. At the end of the course, I'll point you to some of my favorite resources for learning web design and keeping current with the changes surrounding it. I'll also give you my recommendations for learning to code and point you to some of the courses on lynda.com that can help you on your way. Of course, nothing can substitute actually doing it. So as soon as you finish this course, make sure you get your hands on a good code editor and start creating your own content.